felt like making this video was necessary because I always document like the good stuff we do and never too much of the struggle. And when I made this channel, I said I was gonna just be open and honest about my whole life, but just document me, my one mom versus two sets of twins life with toddlers. So yeah, y'all, I'll be back with an update. 2 weeks ago, Dior broke out with this rash. At her daycare, they had something going around called hand, foot, mouth. And I'm thinking, okay, she got hand, foot, mouth because that's how it spreads fast and it's contagious. So like when one child in her class had it, I'm thinking, okay, my girl got hand, foot, mouth. Which I wasn't too worried about her having hand, foot, mouth because Santana and Sky had hand, foot, mouth before. There's not really nothing much you can do for it. You just gotta let it pass. It comes with a rash on the palms on your hands and the bottom of your feet and sometimes the inside of your throat. You can get diarrhea and a fever with hand, foot, mouth. But with Dior, she didn't have diarrhea or a fever. So when I took her to the urgent care, they couldn't really tell me what the bumps were. It was, I want to say it was a Monday morning when she had like 2 bumps on the side of her cheek. And Dior gets, like, she's a mosquito magnet, so I'm thinking, okay, they might just be 2 mosquito bumps. But then by the end of the day at daycare, she had them like pretty much spreading like on her body, like on her face mainly, on her chest, and like a little bit on her legs. So I'm thinking that, like I said, I'm thinking that it's hand, foot, mouth. So we get there, they say it's not hand, foot, mouth because it doesn't have, she doesn't have them on the palms of her hands or the bottom of her feet, and she didn't have any on the back of her throat. She didn't have a fever or diarrhea. So I'm like, okay. They was like, just monitor it, it'll probably go away. Little kids, babies, get rashes all the time. So I'm like, okay, but that wasn't just a good answer for me. So I scheduled her a doctor's appointment. She ended up going to the doctor like 2 days later. Get to the doctor, she looks at her bumps, and I forgot what she said. She called them, but I put it down below, but I forgot what she said they was. So she had to go to the lab and get her blood drawn to see like what was causing the bumps. So she gets there and they draw her blood, and then the doctor called me and they tell me she has a low white blood cell count. So I'm sitting here like, what is that? Like, what is causing that? Like, but not trying to freak myself out at the same time. Not trying to go to Google and try to Google why, but just trying to go with the flow. So they like, in 2 more weeks we're gonna check her blood cell count again. So we so they're like, just trying to make sure she doesn't get sick. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, how can I do that when there's hand, foot, mouth going around daycare and then she's around a whole bunch of kids? It's like, you're guaranteed to more than likely get sick when you take your child to daycare. So she doesn't go to daycare on Friday because her doctor appointment was on a Thursday. So she didn't go to daycare on Friday, and I had to pick up a doctor's note because they want a doctor's note at daycare to make sure it wasn't nothing serious. So she's been coming to work with me and from Monday, and then here comes Thursday, and she breaks out with a rash again. And I take her to, instead of just taking her to the regular urgent care, I took her to CHKD urgent care, and they confirmed to me that she had hand, foot, mouth. They didn't find it as urgent because she didn't have a fever, she didn't have diarrhea, she just had the rash. So they was like, she developed a fever, make sure you take her to the ER, because again, I'm still in this 2-week window period of them having to check her white blood cell count again. So I'm like, okay. So she develops hand, foot, mouth, and I have to stay, I'm staying at home with her because one, it's contagious. It's really contagious amongst kids, infants to 4-year-olds. Children and adults after that can get hand, foot, mouth, but it's like really rare that they do get it. So I didn't want to put her off with anybody, and they ended up getting hand, foot, mouth, and yeah, so I just left her home. And I knew that my kids were going to get hand, foot, mouth, but like I said, Santana and Sky had hand, foot, mouth before. We're at home all weekend, and Deja develops the rash of hand, foot, mouth, but no diarrhea and anything else. And Sky just develops the fever, no bumps, no diarrhea, but Santana didn't get anything. So we're at home, we stay home. They stay home until Wednesday. In order for them to go back to daycare, their rash has to turn into scabs on their hands. I guess that makes it not spread, I don't know, but it has to turn into a scab before they can return back. So Dior's had turned into a scab because she developed the rash first, so her scabs were there, but Deja developed it after her, so her bumps didn't scab over. So I called out on Monday to wait till that got better. And Tuesday my job had a training, which I already had babysitters set up in line for them so I could go to this training because the daycare was closed. It was just an all-staff like training day. So I just took advantage of my babysitter and went to this training. And then when I get back from my training, they tell me Deja has a fever. So I'm like, okay. Thinking that we were about to be good to go back to daycare on Wednesday, which we still was, because I gave her some Tylenol, and then the next morning her fever was gone. But after everybody developed this hand, foot, mouth thing, they all developed this really bad cold, like this cold and cough. They sneezed and a bunch of mucus just come out of their nose, all 4 of them. So I'm thinking, okay, that's Deja's fever because she has a cold. So now it is Thursday. Like, we all meant to back to daycare on Wednesday. They weren't 100% because of the cold, but it's a cold, so you can still work through it. So now it is Thursday. Today is the last day that of the 2-week period for Dior's white blood cell count. She is supposed to go to get her blood drawn today for them to check her white blood cell count, and then she has a doctor's appointment like the following week to discuss her test results. So the very last day of this 2-week period where I'm supposed to be monitoring that she doesn't get a fever, my girl woke up with a fever and it was 100.6. So now we are currently on our way to the emergency room to just make sure that everything is okay with her. And that's why she back there over her lonesome. Okay, so I get all the way to the emergency room, which I drove to another emergency room, which is outside of my city because I don't like Santerre. I don't like Santerre, so I drove to the other hospital. And get all the way there to find out I don't have my ID or her insurance card. So I drove all the way back home and grab my ID and my insurance card. But the way I'm driving home, I'm calling her doctor to see, like, cause she still have her 9:45 appointment that she had scheduled for today that I ended up rescheduling because my boss had no one to cover my shift. That was like, no, her appointment, that slot's already filled and there's no more appointments available for the day. And I talked to the nurse and telling her Dior symptoms. She's telling me, yeah, well, you should just go ahead and take her to the hospital. And she said the CHKD hospital. And I'm like, oh, so she can't go to just any local hospital? And they was like, no, because the adult hospitals wouldn't know what to do. So yes, that has been a warning. So my aunt is at my house now watching the other 3, and now I'm on my way back home to go get them, to take them to my mom's house so I can drive all the way to another city, to this other hospital who's like, what, it's like 13 miles away from my house. So And with this right here, the lesson that I learned is I'm never rescheduling my kids' doctor's appointment for anybody. I just I can't risk that. Because now I have to drive my baby all the way to another city, when at this point right now, looking at the time, she would have been in her doctor's appointment, and then her doctor could have told me how severe this was or not. But now I have to go all the way to a much further city from the hospital that I went to earlier. I have to drive way further just to do that, and I have to take go home and get all of my kids ready so I can take them. It's like sometimes with stuff like this, you have to like make decisions within yourself on what's important. Like, being that my baby's been dealing with this for the last 2 weeks, I should have chose just to go to the appointment. I ended up having to call out of work anyway, so here I go. Here I go doing the most, and it's so frustrating. So we're finally here, and I just hated that so much because first of all, it was traffic, and then secondly, you have to park in a parking garage when you come here, so that's just the money. And then if you would have took the shorter route, you would have had to pay a toll just to get here. So whatever, I'm trying not to complain. Sorry. I'm trying not to complain. I just want my baby to feel better. Did he? No. Dior. Hi. All right, y'all. So I'm back in the car, and they did the most to my baby, but I guess it's to make sure she is better, and she is better, much better. They told me her white blood cell count was 330. Now it is in the 5,000s. So I'm happy because I was really very, I don't know what's wrong with my baby. And of course, when you try not to Google stuff, you Google stuff, and then Google always tell you the wrong. Just tell you whatever. So I'm so glad my baby feels better. I have a headache. I am tired. I know my baby is hungry. Hey. Don't say hey. I know she is hungry and sleepy. What caused her fever this morning is she has an upper respiratory, whatever, I can't talk, y'all. But what happened to her, she has a respiratory infection. How about that? So this morning she had an upper respiratory infection, and that's what caused her fever. Which, I don't know. All of my kids got a cold. Like I said, they all have a cold, so they probably all have upper respiratory infection. But being that they wanted me to make sure she didn't get sick, they didn't want her to get sick, I just had to take the right precautions. Y'all keep looking at this thing up here because it looked like a whole man is laying right there. I don't know if you could tell, but that little black spot right there, is that a man? I don't know. Is it? It's like the whole man is like just laying right there on that big tall crane thing. And look how far he is up in the sky. And I'm on the 5th floor in the parking garage. So that's crazy. But anywho, y'all, thanks for stressing out with me because your girl was stressed. See, I told y'all my baby was tired. She is tired. They did so much to my girl. Ugh. But thanks for stressing out with me, you know, because your girl was really stressed. I just don't know what was wrong with my baby. I'm just missing a whole lot of work behind it, which I don't care.